Welcome back to the Inside Java podcast, a show about everything Java, brought to you by the team at Oracle that builds the Java platform and stewards the ecosystem. Every episode is special, but today's is super special because it's a sneak peek into what you can expect at this year's JavaOne conference, which at the time of this recording is just 75 days away. It's been 5 years since the last JavaOne, so we're super excited to see you in Las Vegas in October. I thought it would be fun to do a whole Inside Java episode on JavaOne. And what better guest to have than the master of ceremonies himself, a man I'm honored to call my colleague, Sharat Chander. Welcome to the show, Sharat.
Thanks, Chad. Wow, it's been a while since I've actually had the chance to connect with the community, and what a great start to do that again with Inside Java. Thank you for having me.
Of course. For those few who may not know you yet, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your role in the Java community?
The few that don't know me, I think most of the world has no idea who I am, but just a quick introduction for sure. My name is Sharat Chander. I love it when the world calls me Shar. Everyone who's listening, you're welcome to call me Shar, but I've been part of the Java team going back to, dare I say, 2000, with the multitude of roles that have focused on engaging the community, driving adoption, but more importantly, just helping developers reach their goals. And so we could wax poetic for the last 22 years of what I've been doing, but at the end of the day, it's all about making Java developers a better version of themselves. So the road continues forward.
Awesome. Yeah. And the Java community is definitely lucky to have had you for many years. We're getting excited for JavaOne now. I actually took a look. This may have been prompted by the tweet I saw you send, or I can't remember if I was thinking about it beforehand, but the tweet you sent was really, visually kind of eye-opening. I wish I could show it, but this is an audio-only podcast. But basically, Sharath said, describe all the JavaOnes you've been to, and you had a checkbox next to the ones that you've been to. And if I can just do a description of that, basically there are 22 JavaOnes, and 3 of those you've missed from 1997 to 1999. Now, if you don't want to share with the audience because maybe you were in prison, maybe you were on a 3-year yoga retreat, maybe you were hiking the PCT or the Appalachian Trail. I mean, what's the deal here? How did you miss 3 years?
Those were my years of learning. So, long story short, I was able to be one of the few lucky developers that was able to attend the first JavaOne in 1996. I had just made a career change, going from the business side of telco to the development side. And for some reason, I'm not sure why, a few of the architects at Verizon decided to have me come along. And we were just trying to understand, what is this new technology called Java? I got to go to JavaOne, and it opened my eyes to the power of this technology. And from that point on, the next 3 years, I was literally skilling up to become a better version of where I started. And so I missed the next 3 conferences. But lo and behold, because of my telco background, the parent company of Java, Sun, decided to knock on my door and ask me to join their company. And who am I to say no to something that was so meaningful? And from that point forward, from 2000 until 2017, I was able to participate in JavaOne, not from an attendee side, but being part of the team responsible for not just organizing the event and structuring the event, but like so many different dimensions of what JavaOne is about, because JavaOne is a reflection and ethos of Java itself. It's not a traditional conference. It's really about learning, and learning. We do our best learning by interacting with people. And so JavaOne has always been a people first mentality, which is a reflection of Java, the technology itself, which is, yes, technology is important, but it's the people that drive you forward in terms of listening, learning, connecting, collaborating. And JavaOne just embraced everything that Java has represented over the years.
You've had a back row, or I should say a backstage pass to the conference, and a back row pass, for many, many years. How have you seen the conference evolve over the years? Obviously, there's the big shift from a standalone Sun event to Oracle co-located with Open World, which has its pros and cons for sure, but trying to normalize for that a bit. How do you think the conference has shifted and waxed and waned over the years, and what elements have been consistent?
Yeah, if I go all the way back to 96, it really was the sort of large scale coming out party that brought Java to the world of development. And that sort of big bang moment is always exciting. And every JavaOne seemed to have some sort of big bang topic, whether it was a new release of Java or how Java has been utilized in a interesting use case or some activity that an individual has done in the community. All of those dimensions have been what I would call, the heartbeat of what has made JavaOne exciting. But to me, it's not so much the evolution of the conference; it's the consistency. And to me, the consistency has been the people. And every technical conference has a slew of technical sessions, and JavaOne is no different. But what makes JavaOne so interesting is that you, as a developer, had the opportunity to actually meet the developers that created this amazing technology and interact with them in the hallway tracks or in the exhibition area. And it's kind of like akin to if you go to an auto dealer, you get to see the car, but you never get to meet the people that built it and how did they build it and why did they build it in that sort of fashion. And it's almost like you get to go to the production line and meet the actual engineers that are so important, and then give them your ideas so they can take it back and wax and wane on how do we utilize the voice of the community as we evolve the technology. And that's a rare dimension of what makes JavaOne so unique, is that you get to meet the actual developers. And then the other part is you get exposed to the world of Java. I mean, you have developers from all over the world coming to meet and greet each other and share their ideas and best practices, so we can take that collaboration that you have on site and extend it back into the different regions of the world that we all live in. And so that level of consistency was paramount to the success of JavaOne. And here we are bringing back JavaOne after a 5-year hiatus. And it's really important that there are some elements that made JavaOne successful that we continue to reintroduce thoughtfully, honestly, and authentically. And it's that people dimension, I think, is going to make this reintroduction of JavaOne so successful, is focusing on the people, focusing on that collaboration, focusing on the communication, and ensuring that as we learn the new parts of Java, we walk away with newfound connections that just, I'm going to use a historical word here, put in our Rolodex. Does anyone use a Rolodex? I mean, I still use a Rolodex, but regardless of where you're saving those connections and names, it's important that we walk away with newfound connections.
Do your kids know what a Rolodex is?
They've seen one on my desk before, and they always wonder, why am I spinning this device? And I'm like, well, I have all of these names in there. It's like, don't you want to just save them in your phone? Yeah, you know what? Some things are just old school. It's like when I tune my car, I like to do it myself. So yeah, they know what a Rolodex is.
Well, you segued pretty well to moving forward to today, but before we go there, I have to ask, try and conjure up one or two of your absolute favorite memories of all time.
There are a couple that quickly come to mind. I would have to say the JavaOne where we introduced Java 5. The code name for Java 5 was Tiger. And during JavaOne, we actually had a live tiger on stage. And if you can imagine, those of us that were backstage during the rehearsals leading up to the actual keynote itself and the day of as well, it was like working in a zoo, a literal zoo backstage. And just to be in the presence of a live, I mean, I don't think I'll ever have a chance to be that close to a creature that magnificent. And what a great project name for that release. But Tiger was amazing. The fact that we had a live tiger on stage, some of the people who are listening may have that recollection. But boy, talk about an exciting moment. But I'm sure there are people from security to compliance to just people in general going, okay, we have a live tiger on stage. how are we going to
Huh.
do this? And is anything going to go off the rails? Obviously, nothing went off the rails. And then I guess the second memory I have is, I mean, I'm standing on the shoulders of greatness. People like James Gosling and others who are so instrumental to the success of Java and JavaOne. But the day I was given the keys in late 2009 to not just be the conference chairperson, but the MC to perhaps the greatest technical conference on the planet, and to take on that role is kind of, well, it's exciting, but then you have this lump in the throat moment where you're like, am I cut out for this? And it was definitely a nerve-wracking moment. But as they say, the show goes on and you just catch your rhythm. And to this day, I pinch myself every time I'm asked to take part in anything that's JavaOne related.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. And I have not seen pictures of this tiger yet.
We'll have to, you know what, as part of the show notes, we may have to like scour the web and put some links in there. But I believe there's some things that are online, but that was a pretty auspicious moment and nerve-wracking, like I said. So boy, what a great memory that was.
We've come full circle. I'm a relatively new introduction to the Java community. I have been part of the team since, I don't know, 2018 now, 2019, 2019. I would say one of the reasons that I'm on the team is from 2017, which happens to be one of my favorite memories of JavaOne. And I'm honored to have started my JavaOne career on stage as a walk-on to demo FN in FN Flow, a little serverless framework. And I open sourced it on stage. Actually ran into a 2FA issue, but luckily, I don't know how I miraculously had cell phone service to be able to get an auth code. Or actually, no, I didn't need an auth code. I was using 1Password. So that was a commercial for 1Password basically. And we were able to do that. But I was able to work with you, Shar, and George and Mark and Donald from the team and get to know everybody. And that was like a little bit of a pre-intro before eventually I joined the team a couple years later. So I was honored to be part of it.
I have such fond memories of that specific keynote, because you went straight to the top in that. Not only did you get to participate in the opening keynote, I mean, you literally launched a technology into the open source world live on stage, no safety net. And here we're all in the back, like sweating bullets. Is this going to work? And it worked. I think that was like the precipice of your, like, the gravity of the Java world just bringing you over to this side, which is great. It's such a pleasure to have you. I mean,
thank you.
You've definitely injected a lot of the historics of what Java is into this, sort of what I would call the renaissance of Java. So well done. Like either you were going to get really scared and like not ever come back on an invitation, or we were just going to like bring you over, and like having you over here has just been amazing.
Oh, thank you. With millions of developers programming in Java, I like to say roughly half of all companies in the world basically use Java at this point. What is critically important that we get right with the first JavaOne after a 5-year hiatus?
We can't fake this. Developers are too attuned to an authentic, honest approach. And it has been 5 years, as you've mentioned. We mentioned that a couple of times, and that's important because there has been significant distance since the last JavaOne in 2017. There are things that are central to the success of JavaOne, not just this coming September, but downstream, in that we need to ensure that the voice of the community is central to the event, because that has been sort of one of the important heartbeats of JavaOne over the year. And I think attendees that will come to JavaOne here in September, they will see a high representation of community throughout the event, whether it's in the keynote, in sessions, in the exhibition area. That heartbeat will be visible in many dimensions. Another important pillar is ensuring we allow for those hallway track moments where attendees can network with the actual engineers that are responsible for building Java. And so we need to ensure those people that are whose day in and day out job is to ensure that Java continues to evolve forward are able to have a connection and form a connection with the attendees that are on site. So those would be the two most important areas that are paramount to the success of JavaOne. And it's our responsibility to ensure that that happens.
Let's talk about content a little bit because, as you mentioned, community, hallway track, and then of course, many of the sessions are being ran from folks in the community. We have an update blog post series that I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast. We'll put a link to that in the show notes. And the last update that we wrote talked a lot about the community sessions. Which sessions, either from the community or from the Java Platform Group, are you excited about?
Yeah, from a content standpoint, Java isn't just one thing beyond just the language and platform. There are many dimensions of what makes Java possible. And so, within the conference this year, there are multiple technical tracks covering the core platform and language, deploying Java in cloud environments, the tie-in between Java and database, AI and machine learning, all the various development tools and DevOps principles and practices. And for that matter, security and manageability. I mean, there's a range of technical topics that will be paramount to the success of JavaOne this year. But for me, from the leaders and stewards of Java, it's imperative that Oracle brings forward things that are showing the cutting edge innovation of as far as what direction Java is taking. And we have a collection of topics that are mapping back to some of the long-term projects that we've been investing in over the years, such as Project Amber. We'll have a session on record patterns. We have sessions that will be covering evolution of the vector API. I think just to give a plug to Java 19, which is also coming out this September. We want to ensure that we show the evolution of what's happening with that API, or for that matter, virtual threads. We've been talking about Project Loom now for a couple of years, and the fact that Java 19 is now introducing a preview feature on virtual threads is important. So we'll see a collection of sessions at JavaOne in October that highlight that. And then on the community side, I mean, I can't stress enough just how amazing it is to see some of the names that have been invited to speak. I mean, folks like Anna Maria Mihalcianu, Emily Jiang, Aaron Schnabel, Jennifer Reif, Gail Anderson, Venkat Subramaniam, Josh Long, Bruno Souza, Matt Rabel. I mean, I can go on and on and on. All of these people are some of the most outstanding experts in their areas in the Java field. But one session in particular, I hope I can get a seat into this panel session, but there is a panel session that's happening with a collection of some of the most recognized names in the Java community: Nikhil Nandavakar, Chandra Gunter, Freddie Guillaume, Justin Lee, Pratik Patel. Their session that caught my eye was, I didn't know that about Java, and it's an interesting take from 5 Java champions who will reflect on some of the forgotten parts of Java that sometimes we forget about, and they're going to raise it to the surface in a rather humorous way, as far as the multiple dimensions of Java that we may don't recall or haven't utilized quite frequently. They're going to raise that to the surface. Hopefully, we'll both be able to attend and get a seat, because I expect that session to be not just oversold, but maybe standing room only.
Yeah, those are going to be super exciting. And as we speak, they are posting the remainder of the sessions to the content catalog, including speaker names as well. I know those weren't there before. So by the time this podcast airs, which should be by August 3rd, they'll have all of the sessions listed, both community and Oracle speakers, as well as the speakers. So look out for that. We'll put a link to that also in the show notes. Speaking of the hallway track, let's talk a little bit about the hallway itself. The location, in your 20, what do we say? In your 19 JavaOnes, every single one of them has been in San Francisco. And we're doing this in Vegas this year. So I know this is going to be a bit new for you, but let's talk a little bit about what we know so far about Caesar's Forum, the many cavernous hallways, the opportunities to meet leaders from the community and at Oracle. Give us a little bit of a snapshot of the pavilion floor.
Yeah, my muscle memory is of Moscone, which has always been the hallmark location of JavaOnes. And then for a few years, it was in a collection of hotels before eventually migrating back down into Moscone West. And so knowing the Caesars Forum, having walked through there before, it is one of the largest open space, dare I say, cities on the planet. I mean, I'm surprised the Caesars Forum doesn't have its own zip code. It is that cavernous of a space, and the exhibition floor alone, if I recall, it's the largest open space hall on the planet. Did I get that right, Chad? Because
Pillarless.
pillarless. There you go. It's the largest pillarless exhibition floor on the planet. And having walked through there in the past, there is so much opportunity for an attendee in terms of the types of activities that we're putting into flight. One of the things that I think is very unique and advantageous to an attendee is that all of the session rooms for JavaOne are on the perimeter of the exhibition space, which definitely reduces the amount of walking that you have to do to and from a session room back to the expo hall and then back to a session room. It just saves so much time, which means you can experience more of the conference versus having to do the walk. I mean, you may not get all your you'll get your steps in still because it is a large exhibition space, but it definitely saves a fair degree of time. And so the exhibition hall itself, dedicated for JavaOne, I mean, there's so many elements that it's so refreshing to see that are coming back. Things like a hacker garden, which gives developers a chance to hack on open source projects. A meet the experts area, which literally allows an attendee to meet some of the luminaries that are building Java in scheduled time blocks. So, whether it's Ron Pressler from Project Loom or some of the other developers from the development team, you'll be able to have some of that dedicated time to meet with folks from the Java team, or for that matter, your DevRel team. I mean, that's going to be pretty exciting because it's been a while since many of the Java advocates have had a chance to have an opportunity to connect with a community in a single moment in time. So, Nikolai Parlog and Jose Pumard and Billy Carando and Jim Grazanzio, yourself, and Heather Stevens, who recently joined the team. I mean, there's just a collection of folks, and David Delabase. How can I forget David Delabase? He's my peer for almost 2 decades. I mean, there's just a great opportunity to meet the Java advocacy team at Oracle and form those connections. I'm even forgetting the lightning talk area where there will be a chance to, instead of sitting in a session room, be actually on the expo hall to hear from experts with 20-minute sessions. And so it's very refreshing to see that. And then, of course, the collection of companies that we're expecting to see, both exhibitors and sponsors. And so having that dedicated space in Caesars Forum is sort of like a one-stop shop as an attendee, yet all things JavaOne in one place at one time in one fell swoop.
Yeah, and it definitely sometimes feels like, and we've heard this feedback before, that JavaOne felt a little bit like a conference bolted on the side of open world, which, the reality is it really was starting in 2010. But this is really our first attempt after a bunch of years now to own our own space. And when I say own our own space, I don't mean something small in the corner. As Shar was mentioning, this is the Caesars Forum. This is a huge open space for us to sort of use as a blank canvas to plan JavaOne, as well as, because we are co-locating with the MySQL Summit and the Oracle developer space, which is actually going to compound the value of the experience, we think, because there's going to be a bunch of fun stuff to do. There's a big central shared area with ping pong tables and games. We're going to have some secret surprises with contests and competitions. It is Vegas, so we need a little bit of a competitive spirit. And so we're pretty excited about this venue, and we really hope to see everybody there to help fill it up. Well, Shar, this has been a ton of fun, and it's been really exciting. And even I learned something today, even though I think you and I talk almost every day for the past 2 years now. Are there any kind of parting thoughts or experiences that you want to talk about, or any last thoughts before I give you the standard question for all Inside Java guests?
Yeah, for sure. I think the takeaway, there's a few takeaways here. JavaOne is back. It is exciting to bring back such a valuable conference, not just in name only, but in experience. And I'm pretty excited, even though we may be starting small, is to build on this momentum coming this October. Second is the community is well represented. I mean, there's already over 40 speakers and participants from both the Java Champion program and Java User Group program who will be speaking and participating in multiple dimensions of the conference. And so it's not just Oracle Java experts that will be there, but also a fair representation of the community. Third, there will be a lot of Java experts from Oracle there. So this is your chance to actually meet the engineers that are making Java so vibrant in terms of your utility and consumption. And then lastly, something that we haven't even mentioned is we're holding an unconference within a conference. And so the Java unconference is still being planned. It's something that we think is also mission critical to the success of JavaOne. So as much as we have structured content, which is needed for a conference of this scale and size, it's also important to bring topics that may not be part of that structured approach. And so the Java Unconference is a way to hear topics that are introduced. And, if you haven't been to an unconference before, you will be voting with your feet and experience topics that will be brought up by experts, luminaries, or perhaps even yourself as an attendee that you want to wax poetic on and have your fellow peers come and join you. So there's a multitude of reasons to come to JavaOne. We're looking forward to meeting everyone that's going to be a part of this experience. And it is just a newfound energy.
Yeah, and we've been to a couple conferences now over the past few months, and you can really tell every single one. Many people, it's the first time they've been in group settings for multiple years, and just the feeling that of human connection again, and being around your peers and being around others. And sometimes we've moved on from the handshake. We've got some elbow bumps and fist bumps, but it still just feels like that human connection in-person event is really appreciated. And we're so excited to see everybody in Las Vegas. So, and I'm personally excited to be able to be a part of this. Shar, it's been a lot of fun. Every guest on the Inside Java podcast gets a chance to answer the question. Tell us about it. I guess it's not a question, huh? Well, here, I'm going to turn it into one. Will you, Sharat Chander, tell us about a day in the life of Shar?
A day in the life of Shar as part of the Java team is 24/7 living within the community and ecosystem and customers that use Java or want to learn Java. And so there's never a day that is exactly the same as the previous day, because it means engaging different individuals, people, and companies based on their approach to Java. And I think that's what's really kept me here for over 22-ish years now, is, as I put it, being a Sherpa to the user. I mean, at the end of the day, my goal is to help others reach their summit through the lens of Java. And so every day is slightly different, but the binding glue to that is Java itself. Personally, it's all about spending time with my family and my dogs. I think a lot of people have seen a lot of posts of my two Goldens that bring me so much joy, and talking about my family. That's a day in the life of Shar, living within the Java ecosystem and spending time with family, and well, my dogs are part of my family.
Yeah, and I should say that when you say 24/7, you literally mean 24/7, because Shar is recording from vacation right now, where he's supposed to be taking time off. I didn't force you to do this.
I offered because this is important, and sometimes it doesn't feel like, well, I shouldn't be telling you that this doesn't feel like work, but it doesn't feel like work sometimes when you care about something so much that you find purpose in. And it's always a joy to do something for the Java community and the Java ecosystem.
All right, Shar. Well, thanks for taking the time to do this. Get back to your day, get out on the golf course, get some sun, whatever you're doing. And we really thank you for all of your commitments to Java, and we look forward to seeing you at JavaOne.
Appreciate it, Chad. Take care.
All right, Shar. Bye.